there, so today we're going to be glittering this Step 2 kids vehicle. It's one of these that you pull, made for like 2 or 3 year olds. Holds 2 kids. It's made out of plastic, which is always tricky, but I do have a product that I like to use with plastic, so I'm going to share it with you. Believe it or not, it's made by Rust-Oleum and it's called High Performance Wheel, and it's actually made for the insides of wheels. And it's made to attach to plastics or various metals and so forth. I want to show you a trick. When you have a plastic kid's car or a plastic toy and you are not sure what it's made out of, very often you can find a stamp on the bottom. So the first thing I do is I always turn my vehicle over and I look for a stamp, and I see a stamp right there and it says number 4. Very often these cans will actually say what kind of plastic it's good for. Like, for example, it says ideal for metal and plastic. Well, there's so many different kinds of plastic out there, you really have to find out what kind, and very often when you look on the back it'll actually tell you what kind of plastic that it's good for. So my method is I go ahead and I lay down a coating of this, and then I blow glitter onto the surface, and in this case I'm using an ultrafine polyester mix, metallic mix called Deep Lagoon, and I'm going to follow it with Glitterati Rainbow, which is an iridescent clear. So even though it looks white, it goes on clear, so what we're going to get is an iridescent blue effect. I'm not going for total coverage, I'm going for accent coverage. So first thing to do, remove any loose parts, tape off the ones that cannot come off, and then we'll check in and you'll get to see the process that I go through. Okay, as you can see, I've gone ahead and taped off everything. I've put plastic on the inside. I do not glitter the insides of kids' cars and toys. The kids, sit there and they pick it off with their fingernail, or they scratch it getting in and out, or they've got their toys and they're banging it on the inside. You're just asking for trouble if you glitter the insides of toys. Any high traffic surface with a child, you're really just asking for it. So I tend to just do the outside. Even going over the top like this isn't great, but in this case, because it doesn't come to a hard edge, I'm going to go ahead and glitter it, but just to the inside, just to the inside. Now the kids will have their hands on it, not ideal. It would have been much nicer if there had been sort of a sharp edge where I could have taped to, but oh well, it'll be alright. So I'm going to show you the technique I'm going to use. I'm outside, there's wind, you can probably tell. Otherwise, you would want to wear a respirator with this if you're doing it indoors or in a still air situation. But because we're outside, there's wind, and I'm using the blow technique, respirators aren't going to work. So that's why I've picked today and the location. So here we go. Putting on a heavy coat. This is a sealer, but if you do it heavy enough and it's not hot, it right now is about 70 degrees. Perfect. Take a long time for it to dry. Long time meaning a minute or 2. So that gives you time to spray a section, glitter, spray a section, glitter, spray a section, glitter. Now, because this is not a spray glue, you can, let's say you get a spot here that's not as well covered. You can go back in and spray and blow some more. If this was an adhesive, like a Super 77, you wouldn't be able to overspray it again. So that's another reason why I love this stuff. So if you see me go back in, no problem. It's a sealer. You can go right over the top of it. Okay, I'm going to get my glitter all ready. Okay, first coat blue, second coat Glitterati Rainbow. Okay, so we've taken a look at this and we realized it's just too boring. We have to have it very exciting around here. It's just no good. So we're going to add in purple and a holographic purple and a few things. So this is actually going to take on a whole different look. We're going to kind of go for a splotchy fairy-like thing. Okay, what I'm doing now is, this is considered finished, so you probably saw me, you're noticing it's maybe sparklier, maybe not in that light. I'm using fine, okay? So I've jumped up to a fine flake to put over the top. Not a lot, but just enough to really grab the attention. So you're going to be seeing an overall effect of ultrafine with these accents of fine. It's going to be just dazzling. If for some reason you've sprayed it to the point where it's dripping, and it can happen, you can get excited about glitter. You can get so excited that you just, and then you go, oh my god. Brush, dry brush, tap, 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 tap. And just the tapping will stop the drip, and it'll just kind of model it. So it just disappears. It's like magic. You just go right in and just go tap, 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 tap. All better. Okay, at this point I'm done glittering. I've done all the colors I mentioned, kind of blotchy and splotchy, everyone's dressed like a fairy who's going to be near this or in it. So I went for the fairy look, so it's lots and lots of different colors, lots of depth. I ended up probably getting just about total coverage, but I'm sure there's blue showing through, and that's great. So the last thing to do is to put a seal coat on, maybe 2 or 3, it just depends, how much flake is coming off. In this case, it's stuck pretty good, so I'm probably going to get away with 2 coats. Okay, so it's just applying it like you would normally, lightly. When you're putting it on for an adhesive, you want to put it on heavy, but when you're doing a seal coat, you're just doing a normal, nice directions on the can type coat. Okay, so a little tip. This sealer takes days to cure, okay? So right now, I could run my fingernail right across there and it would just peel right off, okay? And you'll think, oh my god, it failed. No, it didn't fail, you just didn't wait long enough. So when you go to pull your tape off, make sure you're very, very careful, because that seal is only, very, very soft. And if that tape was caught, you could actually just pull this right off, which is actually, in some ways, a good thing. Because let's say your tape wasn't adhered, well enough to be inside, and you got a drip. Right now, you can go get that drip off. You won't be able to in 7 days when it's fully cured, but right now you can. So, for example, I had a little drip right here on the side of this plastic that I had taped off, but, things happen. And I was able with my fingernail just to go zink and pull it right off. So I always take my tape off when it's still quite wet. Not wet, like you can touch it, but not meaning I didn't wait 3 days. So I take my tape off right away so that I can see if there's any drips or anything that needs to be cleaned off, anything that's not perfect. And then I leave it alone for 3, 4, up to 7 days, honestly. If you play with it sooner than that, you're in trouble. Now, our parade is in 4 days, so I'm pushing it. I'm just hoping. I'm going to leave it out in the sun. I'm going to let this thing cook for the next 4 days, and I bet you it'll be all right. But in a normal, like, winter or spring, when you don't have these really, really hot days, 7 days. Wait 7 days. And after that, the finish gets hard as a rock, and it tends to not, come off unless a kid, takes something and it's going to come off. Anything's going to come off. The kid really goes for it. But just normal day-to-day use should be fine. Okay, that's it.